What I was saying is living things have specific shape, size, and structure. But so do non-living things have.
Fixed.
So what is the difference between living and non-living then?
They show movements.
They do not respire.
Correct. So I can write this as even non-living things have a definite shape, size, and structure. Shape, size, and structure. But there is one thing which they cannot show, which is all
Respire.
those features which we have mentioned before. Reproduction, adaptation, and other things. Shape, size, and structure. But they never show any trait. Trait means characteristics. Any trait. I would like to mention this part. Any trait. For example, growth, development, adaptation. This cannot be seen in non-living things. And this is something which makes the non-living thing separate from living things. So they never show any trait shown by living things. That is why they are different and living things are different. So far as living things are concerned, we can write this as living things are considered as, example, we can write here as plant, animal, fungi, bacteria. Viruses are exception since they are considered as dead outside. Okay, we'll talk about the virus in the coming section of the chapter.
Viruses are obligatory parasites. We consider them as obligatory.
Yeah, they are considered obligatory, but so far as their own mechanism is concerned, they cannot show any, like,
Yes,
see,
sir.
we have already written what is life. A
They do not
complex
show any life.
organization that must show some kind of chemical reaction, right?
They don't show any chemical reaction until and unless they infect a host body.
Correct. That is, since viruses can only show their chemical reactions when they are inside the host organism. That is why it's still, it is going to come in the later section of the chapter. But still we consider viruses as dead structure. However, they show their chemical reactions only when they are inside a host organism. So it's still, the theory is still into dilemma that whether we should consider viruses as dead structure or they should be considered
So
as
why
living
only in
structure.
host organism?
Pardon?
Why only in host organism?
Don't have any of their own they don't have any of their own organelles. That's why they infect a host body and use their organelles, their metabolism
So far,
to their own advantage.
listen to me. So far as viruses are concerned, we, in the later section of this chapter, we have a topic which is systematics. You have studied systematics in a small amount in 9th standard also. Diversity of living organism, class 9th. So in that, Carolus Linnaeus and other things were there. We'll talk about the systematics in the later section of the chapter. So let's stick to this part first, okay? I'm rubbing this off. Let's move forward. So now we are on in our previous classes, when we were into small classes like 4th standard, 5th standard, we studied about different characteristics of living organism. Like in the small standards, we have studied living things move, living things eat, living things breathe. But these are, not expressed in proper way. Now we are going to study all these things in detail. So let's start with a new topic, which is characteristics of living organism. So we are going to start in detail. First, let's write it down, all the points which we can think of, and then we'll explain each and every point in detail. Okay, I have a request, please stop writing on the board. So now let's start with the first thing, which is a characteristic of living organism. Living things show a particular type of cellular organization, or you can say cellular structure. So first thing which we'll discuss is cellular structure. We all have a cellular structure which give rise to tissues, then tissue again join together to give rise to organ system, organism. So we'll talk about cellular structure. Then second thing, we all show some sort of metabolism. Metabolism is all the different type of reactions which occur in our body. So that is called as metabolism. We'll talk about metabolism also in detail. Then what else you can think of which is a characteristic of living organism? Yes, one more which we can consider it as growth. Then after growth we can talk about, we have already mentioned one topic, which
Response to
is,
stimulus.
yes, that is also there, reproduction, responsiveness, correct?
Adapt.
Pardon, come again.
Adaptation.
Adaptation, correct. Reproduction. Then fifth point, what we can write is what you said, responsiveness. We can write this as consciousness.
Sir, respiration.
Yes, but respiration, you can write respiration also, but respiration leads to something which is the second point. Because of
Chemical
respiration
reaction.
only you are able to show metabolism. Then
Chemical reaction.
chemical reactions is metabolism only, no?
Oh, sorry.
We show some sort of organization. Organization in the sense different. Let me just finish first. Organization means different organs of the body integrate among themselves, coordinate among themselves to give rise to a specific function. I can give you an example.
Irrigation.
I can
Movement.
give you a very simple example. We have already studied in 10th standard circulatory system. Now this circulatory system consists of lungs, heart, pulmonary artery, pulmonary vein, then aorta, different arteries which go to different parts of the body circulating the oxygenated blood, right? So this is a sort of organization. Or you can take any other example, excretory system, which consists of a pair of kidneys, pair of ureter, urinary bladder, urethra. And apart from all these four structures, renal artery and renal vein. Yeah, somebody was saying something to me. Coordination, organization and coordination, one and the same thing. Then we have a very important characteristic feature of the living organism which cannot be found in any other organism, which is, I think you might have heard about this, homeostasis. Then as you were saying, 8th point, we show something called as adaptation. We show something which we call it as
Development.
Growth. See, okay, fine. I'll change the third point as growth, and I'll give one explanation more so that there is no confusion, no further confusion.
Evolution.
Movement, evolution.
Response to
No. Wait. Consciousness is response to stimuli only. You are conscious about. See, if somebody
Emotional
comes to
stress.
you and says, go outside and play, you will not go outside. Why you will not go outside? You already know there's a threat of corona right now going on. So that is consciousness. Or let's say it's very hot, you will turn on the AC, fan, or a cooler. So you are well aware of your surrounding. That is consciousness. Or you can write consciousness as responsiveness. Yeah, I'll explain what is homeostasis. Just wait. Now, we can add 2 more points. We can add so many points,
So
but we
emotional.
are only discussing the major ones right now. Yeah. There is something which we show based on our response, which is variation. If it's a cold climate, you will start wearing jackets, gloves, or maybe you will turn on a heater at home just to make yourself safe. And last thing, which is you can say we show something which is energy production. These are the 10 major points which we have to discuss in detail. Now, somebody was asking me about growth and development. So first of all, so far as living things are concerned, let it be a bacteria, let it be a algae, let it be a fungus, or let it be a plant or an animal. A basic procedure is followed. Let it be any living organism. First thing in any living organism, so when we talk about living organisms, the first thing is nutrition. So you have to find nutrients to get inside your body in order to grow. So nutrition brings something in your body which you call it as growth. Growth brings something in your body which is called as development. After growth and development comes something which you call it as maturity, and maturity gives you something which is called as puberty. You can take maturity or puberty as one and the same thing. As soon as you hit the puberty, then comes the process of reproduction. Until and unless there is nutrition, until and unless it brings about growth and development, you will not find maturity, you will not find puberty, and ultimately reproduction will be hindered. So young ones will not be produced until and unless there is growth and development going on in your body. Okay. So let's start with the first thing, which is cellular structure. Let's go to the next slide. So we have something which is cellular structure. We already know that we have different, an organism can be unicellular, an organism can be multicellular.
Multicellular.
So cells combine to form tissues. Cells have a particular content present inside them, which you call it as protoplasm, right? What is protoplasm?
Right.
The living content of the cell, comprising of the nucleus and the cytoplasm. So if you want to compare living things with the non-living things, you take a rock, a small part of the rock or a stone, and try to analyze it. You will not find any protoplasm which is present inside the molecules of a rock. Okay. But if you take a living cell and try to find out the content of that living cell, you will find protoplasm, the living content of the cell. So this is something which differentiates living things with the non-living things. Am I clear to you all? Just say yes or no.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Okay, let's write it down. So
Yes,
first
sir.
point we have is cellular structure. Cellular structure. So it is one of the defining property of the living organism. It is one of the defining property of the living organism. So as I said, please excuse me. As I said, each living being or organism is formed of one or more cells. Each living organism is made up of one or more cells. Okay, and these cells show presence of protoplasm. In bracket you can write living content of cell, comma, not found in any structure, or you can say molecule of non-living thing. And this is the only reason why cellular structure is considered as one of the defining property of the living organism, since it shows the presence of the living matter or protoplasm of a non-living thing. Clear to everyone? What are stem cells? Okay, stem cells are a special type of cells which are found in the bone marrow. Okay, I'll write here in small, stem cells. Cells found in bone marrow. These are the cells which have a special type of power with them.
So can you ask the participants to mute the mic?
So this is all about stem cells. We can talk about stem cells in some other doubt classes. Right now we are focused on the chapter, so let's discuss the second point of the characteristics of living organism, which is the second point was metabolism, right? So
Right.
let's discuss metabolism. How do we define? In your school exam question will be asked, define metabolism, 1 mark question. Yeah, I'll give you enough time to write. Let me finish with the second point and then you can copy this. Okay, so metabolism, it can be defined in very simple words as sum total of all the reactions occurring in the body. Whatever reactions are going on inside your body, if you account for all the reactions, that gives something which is called as metabolism. Now, metabolism is divided into two different set of reactions. So we can write metabolism as
Anaerobic, aerobic.
the first one and the second one, or I can write this as A and B. The first one is called as anabolism and the second one is called as catabolism. So what is happening in these two reactions is, in anabolism what happens is small inorganic materials or molecules are combined together inside the cell to give rise to a bigger organic structure. That is called as anabolism. For example, if I say you have a lot of bricks with you, you just take some cement and add the bricks together, you get a wall. So the formation of a wall from small bricks, that kind of thing is considered as anabolism. You are constructing something bigger. If I say catabolism, so you eat, glucose is present in your body, that glucose is broken down to produce energy. So finally what you get is carbon dioxide and water plus energy, a simple reaction shown during respiration. That kind of
So,
reaction, yeah.
so means in catabolic reactions, energy is released.
Yeah, in catabolic reaction, you can say it's simply a type of breakdown reaction where bigger molecules are broken down into smaller fragments. And anabolism is a
So
kind of, yeah,
the plants will show both anabolism and catabolism. So what will you call them?
yeah, plants also show anabolism and catabolism. We also show catabolism and anabolism.
How do we?
Sir, catabolism and anabolism are the part of metabolism.
Correct. When you add them together, you call it as metabolism.
Okay.
Okay, I'll tell you one more thing. If you take a single test tube, just give me the answer for this, okay? If I take a simple test tube, how many reactions I can run in this test tube at the same time?
Single. A single.
Single reaction can be seen during at a single time, right? However, when we say our cell, a single cell at the same time shows more than 1,000 reactions, and now these 1,000 reactions are taking place at the same time, and out of these 1,000 reactions, maybe 600 reactions are anabolic reactions and maybe 400 reactions are catabolic reactions. Now you can see the difference between living and non-living. In a non-living state, a single reaction can be taken out at a particular period of time. However, at the same time, more than 1,000 reactions can take place inside a living system. That is the beauty of life. This is the difference which separates and makes us different from other non-living matter. We show millions of reactions going on inside a single cell at the same time, and that makes us a little different from what we call it as non-living thing. Am I clear?
Yes. Sir.
And that is the reason you call metabolism also as metabolism is a defining property of living organism. Please give example of catabolism except respiration, digestion. Okay, I'll explain both of them in detail. So is till now everything is clear to you? Let me go into the details of metabolism first. Okay.
Can you wait till then?
Yeah,
We will-
please. You want to copy it down. I give you 2 minutes. Okay. Copy it fast. So now, not so far as non-living things are concerned.
Sir,
Yes.
what is the difference between cellular structure and metabolism, whereas both are defining properties of a living organism?
Pardon, come again.
What is the difference between cellular structure and metabolism, where both are defining properties of living organism?
Cellular structure means you have a proper organization of cells. Metabolism is a kind of characteristic feature which is shown by the living content and different organelles of the cell. So metabolism is something which is going on inside this part, the cellular structure. Non-living things.
Means metabolism is a process occurring in cellular structures.
Correct. Do not show metabolism. They don't have that kind of cellular organization to show the metabolism. However, metabolic reactions can be carried out outside the body of an organism in free systems. Metabolic reactions can be carried out outside living organism in a cell-free system. Cell-free system means outside the cell in a test tube or something. Cell-free system. However, these reactions, as I said before, these reactions carried out outside the body are neither considered as living or non-living. Okay. However, if a reaction involves a cellular, a living content, that is called as
बायो जॉग्राफी कशाच आहे
Molecule.
बायो ट्युशन मधनं स्कूल मधनं मग कुठून
please stop talking. If you have to
परत
ask
नाही बघू
something,
शकत
please put it on the chat room or ask individually. Should I proceed to the next slide?
Yes.
You
Okay.
were saying something.
Yeah, tell me what happened.
You were saying something.
I was saying if a biological reaction, since biological reactions involve biochemicals, you can call some of the isolated metabolic reactions as biological reaction, which I was explaining you before. Okay, in isolated systems, when you carry out a metabolic reaction in a test tube, these reactions you can call it as biological reactions. Next, now let's see what is anabolism and what is catabolism. So first part we have is anabolism. So what happens during anabolism? Anabolism includes all the building up reactions. When, as I said before, when you combine small inorganic material and combine them to form a bigger one. That is a kind of anabolic reaction. So let's write it down. I read the chat. I'll come to that and I'll answer the question. Okay. Anabolism includes all the building up reactions.
अनुमने पाठ ले लो.
I can write a simple
अनुमने पाठ ले लो.
reaction here
अनुमने
as an example to show you my anabolism. You can write an anabolism. It involves synthesis of complex substances from simpler substances inside the cell or inside your body. For example, I can write, maybe you are aware of this, adenosine diphosphate combines with inorganic phosphate to give rise to something
To
you
give
call
ATP.
as adenosine triphosphate,
Adenosine triphosphate.
which is considered as the
With
energy
the
current,
phosphorylation.
right? This kind of reaction can be considered as an anabolic reaction. Or I can take another example which you can take in plants. What is happening? A very simple one, you already know about it.
Formation of many glucose molecules combined to give one molecule of starch.
Yeah, yes, that can also be called as anabolic type of reaction. On plants, if I'm saying 6 of carbon dioxide combines with 12 of water molecules in the presence of sunlight
gives
and
6
chlorophyll
CO2 plus
to give rise to glucose plus 6 of water plus 6 of
12 H2O.
no 6 of water and 6 of oxygen.
Oxygen,
Now you can
okay.
see a small inorganic content was combined together to give rise to a
Bigger molecule.
complex organic molecule like glucose, right? Excuse me.
Yes.
This is a kind of anabolic reaction. Let's take catabolism into picture. A very simple one. Now, when you say catabolism,
Breakdown to form energy.
It's a breakdown of water
correct.
in H2.
Catabolism is, it involves
Breakdown to form energy.
Breakdown of
Molecules.
complex substances into
Simpler substances.
simpler substances or simpler form. You can write anything. Simpler form. Okay, I can give a very simple example so far as catabolism is concerned. I have
Breakdown of glucose molecule for the
glucose
production of energy.
molecule which combines with 6 of oxygen to give me 6 of carbon dioxide plus 6 of water, and apart from that you can see here there is formation of
ATP.
of 38 ATP molecules. So now a bigger complex substance got broken down into 2 simpler inorganic substances. This is something we call it as a catabolic reaction. Is this thing clear to you?
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah, sure. Please ask.
Sir, in school we were taught that glucose and oxygen, when they react, they break down glucose to form 6 CO2, 6 H2 and 36 ATP and not 38. Is 38 the correct one or 36?
Okay, if you want, you can change this to 36, but there is a in this 11th standard, you will find a chapter called respiration in plants.
Okay.
In that
36
chapter,
plus 2 ATP.
when you will study, you will find that actually it is 38, but that is also correct. We consider it as a consumed energy, so you can remove 2 ATPs. No problem.
What happens? You are saying if it is 38, then what happens to the 2 ATP?
See, now you are getting into the, so far as you are getting into the details, respiration is divided into 3 different processes called as glycolysis,
Okay.
Krebs cycle, and electron transport system. Here you get 8 ATPs, here you get 24. And in between there is a transition phase, which again gives you 6 ATPs. So now you can calculate how many ATPs are actually getting formed. 24 plus 6 is 30 and 30 plus 8 is 38.
38.
We can talk about this later, okay?
Okay, sir.
However, you can write 36, no issue at all.
Okay.
We don't count this the transition phase.
Okay.
We consider this as twice of NADH2. We forget to count this, which is equivalent to 6 ATPs.
Okay.
So that is why there is a confusion of this.
Sir, we have ETS this year.
Oh yes, you have everything: glycolysis, Krebs cycle, and ETS.
Okay, sir.
So what is ETS?
ETS is electron transport chain. You will study this.
Sir, so while writing the equations, we should write 36 or 38?
You can write both, no problem. Electron transport system, or you can also call it as electron transport chain. Okay.
Transfer chain.
So let's move to the third point, which I have already explained, which is growth. So let me give you an explanation for this, and then I'll write down on the whiteboard. So if I have to define growth, how can I define growth? You can say it's a kind of
Change in the body size.
irreversible increase in the mass of an individual, right? So let's write down the definition. It can be defined as a irreversible increase in the mass of an organism. In very simple terms, a very basic definition: a multicellular organism increases its mass. We already know how mass can be increased in our body. A very simple method, which you call it as cell division, right? So mass of an organism is increased with the help of a process which you call it as cell division. If you are talking about plants, growth continues throughout life as they have meristematic areas present in different portions of their body.
But sir, permanent tissue doesn't happen now.
Pardon?
Permanent tissue.
Permanent tissues cannot show growth because it includes increase in the mass. Permanent tissues can only maintain the organization of plant.
Okay.
They cannot redivide. Permanent tissues, like if you talk about parenchyma cells in plants, meristematic tissues divide and give rise to parenchymatic cells. Let it be chlorenchyma, sclerenchyma, collenchyma, or any other kind of parenchyma. But they cannot divide further to give rise to new cells. However, meristematic tissues, yes, they can divide and give rise to new cells. So in animals, what happens is a kind of cell division helps the cell to divide and increase the mass of an organism. When we talk about plants, in plants, growth continues throughout life so far as they have the meristematic cell, which show cell division on regular basis. Now again, coming back to animals, अगर मैं animal की बात कर रहा हूँ, तो growth stops after a certain age. For example, we say that height stops growing after the age of 16 to 18. We stop growing our height after that, right? So
Yes,
growth occurs at a certain age only, after which cells divide only to replace the worn out cells. So we on a daily basis we shed off millions of cells from the skin, and the rest of the cells only multiply to take the position of the dead cells. So growth in animals. Yes. What
Sir,
happened?
can you repeat what you said?
Yeah. Okay, let's write it down before it starts creating more confusion. In animals, growth is, or growth occurs by means of cell division, and growth is restricted to a certain age only. As I said, we only increase our height by the age, till the age of 16 to 18. After that, there is no further increase in the height. So it is restricted to a certain age only. After that, what happens is growth after 16 to 18 years of age can only be seen as the cells divide only to replace the worn out and lost cells. So after a particular age, growth is seen as where cells only divide to replace worn out
Sir, some
or lost cells. Yeah, tell me.
sir, some cells once found they never divide any further, like brain cells.
Just like neurons.
So,
Neurons in our body.
so then
Once,
how are the worn out cells replaced?
okay, let me explain you this. So you have, let's say,
So I think the sentence is incomplete. After E is seen as something it should come.
after a particular age, growth is seen as, okay, now it's clear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now these are different layer of cells in your skin, which you call it as stratified squamous epithelium. Now the lowermost layer of cell here is called as endothelium. These are the,
It is a capillary, no?
endothelium is not a capillary. It's a type
Oh.
of endothelium, or you can also write this as, wait, endothelial cells. Now let's suppose that the uppermost layer, this layer, got worn out, or they became dead. So what will happen is, at that time endothelial cells get a message that the uppermost cell got dead, uppermost layer of cells became dead. So they undergo a process of division, produce a new layer which is pushed. You can say यहाँ पे एक और layer बन जाती है, and because of which what happens is this layer is pushed at the top. Now it is clear how walnut cells are replaced by new cells.
Sir?
Yeah.
So, but in some organs like heart,
your voice is cracking,
and means other neuron and nervous system, the
neurons never
some
divide
organs
further.
like heart and some other.
Please
No,
come back with
no,
the
sir.
question.
Organs, heart cells never divide after birth. Why is it so?
Heart cells never divide. Who said that? You are talking about cardiac cells. They do show division. Who said that?
Somebody said that.
Is there permanent tissues in animal? After certain age, do our growth cells lose the power of cell division and become permanent? No, it doesn't happen in us. However, it is mostly seen in plants about permanent cells. You can say neuron is a type of permanent cell because any further damage or death of a neuron cannot be, you can say, it cannot rejuvenate again or redivide again.
Sir?
Neurons are permanent in our body.
Sir?
Yes?
Sir, but why do cells lose the ability to divide?
We don't have that kind of mechanism. And so far as plant, animal body is concerned, all the types of cells have the ability to divide, except few. For example, neurons.
Sir, but then why need to lose the ability to divide?
In animal now you can say there is some kind of defect in the cellular machinery itself. That is why a cell is unable to divide further. But that doesn't happen in animal body.
Okay.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, in nervous system,
it is throughout.
It is throughout. So we can write, so far as growth in plants is concerned, we can write this as growth in plants occur throughout life by cell division performed by meristematic cells distributed throughout their body. However, if you account for plants and animals and compare it with excuse me, non-living things, there is no such growth which occurs. Now I would like to explain one more thing so far as we are talking about growth. And this particular statement will give you a very clear idea about why there is a difference between living and non-living so far as growth is concerned. Growth can be when we say growth in a living organism, it is always internal. However, it's not necessary that every time growth is restricted to living organism. There is a volcanic eruption which has accumulated lot of dust in a particular area for a long period of time. उसका रिजल्ट क्या निकलेगा? एक रॉक बन जाएगा या एक स्टोन जैसा कुछ बन जाएगा जो वॉल्केनिक इरप्शन से निकला था उससे. Now that leads to something which you call it as external growth. We are not accounting for external growth in living beings. So what happens is, in internal growth, cell division takes place, which increases the mass of cells. This kind of process is called as, or such method of growth is called as intusception.
So internal growth is called intersection.
Yes. This method of internal growth is called as intussusception. And if I say कि एक volcanic eruption हुआ था जिसकी वजह से कुछ मटेरियल या जो volcanic eruptions निकल के एक जगह पे कूल डाउन हुए, उन्होंने कोई एक पर्टिकुलर रॉक या स्टोन जैसा कुछ बना दिया, that is called as an external growth. और इसका भी एक नाम दिया जाता है, this is called as accretion. However, this kind of growth is not accounted for actual kind of growth. So we don't account it for we don't show any kind of growth like accretion. Not considered for living things. So only internal growth is, or this factor internal growth or intussusception is considered as characteristic feature of a living organism. Okay, is this clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Now let's go to the next topic, which is reproduction.
The test tube babies can be a external growth.
No, test tube, when you are talking about test tube babies, you only create zygote or embryos outside, and rest of the further growth and development takes place inside a surrogate mother only. Okay, so that is a kind of internal growth only, test tube babies. We just give this a name as test tube babies. However, they are not, babies are not developed in the test tube. They are again put back into the uterus of the mother. So let's have the fourth topic as reproduction. So what happens in reproduction?
It is a formation of new individuals.
Excuse me. Formation of a new individual of similar kind is called
Both
as
bisexual and all
reproduction.
sexual means.
From existing species.
Reproduction
And both
is
bisexuals and all sexual
okay.
means.
I have a question. Do you think reproduction is essential for the living organism?
No, sir.
Yes, yes,
For
yes.
the continuity
yes.
of the
Do you think
of the living
reproduction
organism.
is essential for the survival of an organism?
Yes,
No,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
No,
Sir,
sir.
no, sir. No, sir.
Survival of a species.
For the continuity of the species, it's
For the
necessary.
continuity of the species is essential.
Not essential for
Any so let's first write down the definition of this, then we'll discuss the question. Reproduction is the production of a young one of similar kind. That is called as reproduction. Now, when we say reproduction, reproduction is not one of the factor essential for survival of an organism. It's not necessary that a person will not survive if he doesn't reproduce. However, it is an essential factor for
Survival
the
of
propagation of generation with time. So a factor essential for the survival of an organism, but very much necessary for propagation of.
So can we write propagation as survival?
Survival नहीं लिख सकते. You can
No.
propagation. You can write perpetuation of generation, means continuation of generation. Necessary for, you can write continuation of generation also. No problem.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now we already know that reproduction, the process of reproduction takes place. It is of two types.
Sexual or sexual means.
Correct. You can write this as asexual and sexual. Okay. Now we also know that, now there is not much explanation into this topic. We already know that some process of reproduction involves two parents. So that is biparental.
Yes, sexuals.
Some are unisexual, some are hermaphrodite. You know what is hermaphrodite?
Sir, both characteristic in one.
No, not both characteristics. I'd like write down the
They
definition
have
for this.
yes, sir.
Both copulatory organs.
Yeah, correct.
Both are pluripotent. Perfect.
What, sir?
Both sex organs present on the same body. Example, I can cite some examples also. You can account for.
Caterpillar.
No.
Sir, a tree.
Self-pollinating flower.
Balenoglossus, some pollinating flowers, correct.
Yes.
Or you can, so far as hermaphrodite is concerned, you can also write
Ascellanthes.
Escalmindus. Escalmindus, no. You can write for Coelenterata.
Okay.
Hydra. Okay. However, if you want to see production of young ones by a non-living organism of the similar kind, it is not possible, right? So sexual reproduction or asexual mode of reproduction is something where daughter cells or young ones of the similar kind is produced. This type of characteristic feature cannot be seen in by non-living matter. That is why reproduction is considered as one of the characteristic feature of a living organism.
Jellyfish.
Sir,
Yes.
how much weightage this chapter carry in NEET?
In NEET, you can say 1 or 2 questions can be asked in the NEET from this chapter.
Oh, like?
Okay. It's a very basic conceptual chapter. There's not much information which is included into this. We have the major chapters starting from second chapter, which is biological classification.
Okay, sir.
Now we have something I'll explain. Since we are running short of time, I'll explain you a small topic, which is one of the point, which is
It means maintaining a steady state with respect to surrounding.
correct. This is defined as the maintenance of internal steady state with respect to outer surrounding. With respect to outer environment, we have this ability to regulate our body temperature or make it a constant body temperature. Doesn't matter how hot it is outside or how cold it is. We maintain our body temperature to 37 degrees Celsius. How? With the help of our brain and the mechanism of
Hypothalamus.
homeostasis. Okay. However, if you account for non-living things, for example, you take a rock. It can be in extremely hot climate. It can be present in extremely cold weather, but it cannot maintain something which is internal steady state or homeostasis. That is why you say in non-living or these rocks and stones, you see something which is called as weathering of rocks. Because of extremely hot or cold climate, reactions go inside and weathering of rocks takes place.
So,
Why?
I
Because
have a doubt.
able to perform homeostatic behavior. That is why homeostasis is considered as one of the major factor of one of the most defining property of a living organism.
So, but means like cold-blooded creatures.
They are also maintaining a steady temperature.
Okay, if
There are some
gets cold.
cold-blooded animals cannot maintain a constant temperature.
Listen to me. If you are talking about a cold-blooded organism, okay, let's take an example of a crocodile.
Okay, crocodile.
Okay, crocodiles do not have the power to maintain their body temperature or their body functions also without heat. And crocodiles mostly live in
Sir.
water.
Sir.
Yes.
Crocodile have 4-chamber heart.
Yeah, it's an exceptional case.
So
most of the reptiles have 3-chambered heart, but crocodiles have 4-chambered heart.
Crocodile have 4. So to talk about something else.
So what happens is even they come out of water and bask at sun by opening their mouth. If you have seen in Discovery or Animal Planet.
Yes.
So why do they do so? They bask at sun so that their enzymes are functional inside the body. They require heat to activate their enzymes. Otherwise, if they do not come on the surface and bask at sun, they'll die off in water. मर जाएंगे वो. And that is the problem. However, if you talk about non-living things, there is no particular homeostatic behavior which can be seen in non-living matter.
Okay, sir.
One more thing.
Sir, do all cold-blooded organisms do so?
Any organism which is living have to show the homeostatic behavior, otherwise the organism will die off. Organism won't be able to perform bodily function.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Can crocodile maintain its body temperature?
Yes,
No,
they maintain by basking
Yes.
at sun. That's what I told you, no?
But
No,
sir,
means
I have a doubt.
like we don't bask at sun. Means like we are warm-blooded.
We are not cold-blooded. We are warm-blooded organism.
Are crocodile cold-blooded or warm-blooded?
Cold-blooded.
But they have 4-chamber heart.
Arey, that's an exception, my dear. Reptiles usually have 3-chambered heart. However, crocodile is an exception with a 4-chambered heart. Okay?
Sir, I have a doubt.
Jellyfish. What about jellyfish? Why can't polar bear do not survive in hot weather? Again, they have adapted to that particular climate, and their body has enzymes functional in that cold weather only.
Means they do not show homeostasis, sir.
Means they adapted to the cold climate.
Yes, they show the homeostatic behavior according to that particular environment. Okay.
They
Now this,
adapted to that cold weather.
yes, correct. Their
Sir.
enzymes are functional in that particular cold weather only. It's the
So
same
such as
thing.
husky.
You cannot grow a penguin in India
Yep.
because they are
They will
adapted to that particular cold climate only.
Sir.
Yes.
So means like four chamber heart means like having four chambered heart is not
Archie.
necessary that
Why
that
talking
organism
about
is warm blooded.
four-chambered heart?
If only one person can talk, I can hear it. If all of you will talk at the same time, how I'm able to analyze what anyone is saying?
So that means having a four chambered heart doesn't mean that we are warm blooded animals.
No,
Means
no, no.
like
That has nothing to do with cold-blooded or warm-blooded.
okay, sir.
So this homeostatic behavior also give rise to something. Everything is interconnected actually. So this homeostatic behavior give rise to something which you call it as homeostasis. This homeostasis also brings something which you call it as adaptation. And because of this adaptation, a particular organism can easily survive in a particular environment. Okay.
So does homeostasis only involve the temperature?
Basically, it is homeostasis is not we call it in terms of temperature only, but it's all about taking your body in a condition in a particular environment so that you are able to survive. For
That's what.
example, if
yeah.
you are into a hot weather, listen to me first. You are on the road and it's too hot, you will start sweating.
Yes, sir.
Why you are sweating? So that your body can be cooled down and you can maintain a temperature of
37 degrees Celsius.
right.
Correct. Sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, I change the situation. You are into a cold region. For example, you are in Manali and it's snowfall over there. Okay, you will start shivering.
Yes, sir.
Why you will shiver? Because the cells of your body are rubbing against each other to generate more heat.
Okay.
Again, why they are generating that more heat? Because they want to maintain a temperature which is suitable for body enzymes to function properly. Clear now?
Yes, sir.
So today we have studied about 4 or 5 major factors, which is cellular organization, metabolism. We studied about growth. We studied about reproduction and homeostasis. Right? All you have to do is at home. Besides, I'll give you the assignment for this. But the books which you have to follow is, one of the book is Eschandt. For this is, I think, by Sarita Agarwal for 11th standard. This is for your school purpose. You will get different types of questions, 1 mark, 2 mark, 5 mark, and a very simple way of explain theory part in it. So far as your NEET is concerned, you have to buy this book called.
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, what for KVPY?
KVPY Eschandt is sufficient.
Sorry?
Eschandt, which I have written on top. This
Okay,
one.
that is applicable for KVPY?
Yes, yes, this is sufficient.
And sir, bio is a part of, sir.
Yes.
Sir, all this with what we are learning is applicable for KVPY the 11th this year?
Yes.
Okay.
Truman's Elementary Biology Volume 1. Okay. This you have to take for reference for your NEET exam. Okay, so you just note down the name of these two books. One is Eschan by Sarita Agarwal, and for NEET you have to buy Truman's Elementary Biology Volume 1. Okay. So in the next lecture, we'll discuss some more characteristic features of the living organism and systematics. Okay. Am I clear to
Thank you, sir.
everyone?
Yes, sir.